So welcome everyone to Marketing 101. This is our marketing channel series, a second week, and it's all about owned channels and how they should be the center of your marketing strategy. Many of you know who I am already. Laura Dunkley, I'm a fractional CMO and managing partner at Acorn Studio Marketing. Please do connect with me if you have any questions about the material or want to get in touch for extra marketing support. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Laura L. Dunkley or laura@acornstudio.marketing. And so today, this is what we're going to talk about. We'll do a quick review of sort of where we were and the template and the download in case you missed it. What are marketing owned channels? What's the difference between owned and leased channels, which you might not even consider, but it's how I use the term for owned but not really owned. So it's your leased channels. Some examples of some popular owned channels. We're going to go into it in a little bit more in depth. And then that is what it is going to be: the websites, blogs, print, email marketing. Those are going to be the ones we'll focus on. And then we'll do a quick summary at the end. So if you missed the download, there's the QR code and the link. Please do download. It is currently free, so please do download it. And there's the link again. So there's a bit of a guide and then the template. You also will have Garden Grow's sample company. So if you're not sure what you're supposed to put into it, please do know that there's an example there, and this is meant to just be a starting point. Please do create it, add sections, customize it to be for your company. So types of marketing channels, a review. There's owned, paid, and earned. Finding that sweet mix is always the best. Sweet spot is your earned. Those are the ones you can't pay for. You have to do the work and show up and do an amazing job, and that's when everyone starts to talk about you. Paid is supplementing your owned channels. Those are leveraging platforms, and you invest in them and they will boost it to their audiences. And owned is what we're talking about today. And those are the channels that we have full control over. To extend that further, owned channels is our focus. Owned marketing channels refer to any digital or physical assets that a company controls and uses to communicate directly with their audiences. For example, your website, right? Social media, blogs, mobile, email, newsletter. There's so many of them. And the primary advantage of owned channels is that you have complete control over the content, timing, and frequency of your communication. This enables your organization to build a consistent and long-term relationship branding with your customers. So owned channels are crucial for delivering tailored content that reinforces brand identity and engages directly with your target audience. And this is the marketing channel mix that we saw last week. And basically, the website is an owned channel. It is the hub. You will always see me reference this in the center because it is the hub of all your marketing, whether it's digital or print. We want to drive traffic back to the website. It is one place where people know that you can find all the information and links to all your other channels. It's the core communication channel for your business. And that's in the center. And then we have a whole bunch of other ones on the outside. Doesn't mean you're going to use all of them. You will select them, but it gives you a visual. Now, the leased channels, which is quite often referred to as owned channels, are what I would call sort of, as good examples are your social media. So YouTube as well, but those core social media. And the reason we call them leased is because we don't actually have full control over the content on their website. We really do. We have agreements and we can show up and we can use their platform, but really it is more of a form of a lease. And what do I mean by that is that leased channels are platforms where brands can create a branded profile. We can share content, engage with the audience that participates on that particular platform. The key difference between owned and leased is that they are giving you permission or conditional access to use their platform. They can shut down your access if you do not follow their terms and conditions. What is the risk? It's potential interruption of your marketing efforts and potential brand reputation challenges. And so as an example, many of us just go ahead and it's the most popular and we say, oh, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these things, but how many of us actually read the terms of service? I do encourage you always to check out the terms and service as part of your research when you are considering channels. So the link is there, and this is on their Facebook legal terms, and it outlines so much more. I just grabbed a snapshot. Currently, May 2024, and that's what this is, but please do update it and look at it current before you go in, and quite often as you use it, because it may change. So it's talking about what you can promote, how are you going to use it, it's community engagement, and I highlighted the phrase why they do this. It's to help support our community, as they say, to encourage you to report content or conduct that you believe violates your rights or our terms and policies if this feature exists in your jurisdiction. So all of these things are here. And the reason I'm saying it's based on reporting, and they do encourage you as a community person who's engaging on it to do reporting. They will report, it's totally out of your control how people report. And then Facebook has to think about it, right? It's like you're accused, they potentially can shut you down, and you have to actually build a case to open it back up. And I know of examples where people have put everything into one leased channel, all their information, their entire business. They had people report them. Facebook shut them down and they lost it. They not only interrupted business, they lost contacts. It was very difficult. Sometimes I know some people that were not able to open it back up and others were. So just be very cautious on that. For what it is. So we also can remove, is what they say, or restrict access to content, features, services, or information if we determine that doing so is reasonably necessary to avoid or mitigate misuse of our services or adverse legal or regulatory impacts to Meta. So that being said, someone can report again and you can lose access. So that's just something to be aware of, not to be overly concerned, but please do, as part of your research, understand this and why having a diverse omni-channel strategy is really important. So website, again, it's the hub, right? It's everything. Make sure when you get started, if you don't have it already, or if you're revisiting your website on how you're going to use it, please do make sure you have your domain if you're getting started. How do you want to use your website? What are your goals? Who's going to be part of it? What are your assets that you currently have in content? Who's going to take care of it? It's not just about setting up your channel. It's about what content's going to be on it and how are you going to manage it? What security protocols are going to be in place? And is it going to help you scale? Are you getting the right one? And that is tips for all your channels, but predominantly website because it is quite extensive when you're doing it. There is a quick little strategy guide and template if you want one more thing. And so you'll have your overall marketing channel strategy, and then each section and channel will have its own strategy. Now, maybe not so much on some of the smaller ones because you'll just use them per campaign, but for sure your website, really think through because it can start to get quite busy and you want to make sure you're having the best experience possible for your visitors. So the other one that is really popular is your blog, right? You have full control over your blog, just like your website. You pay for hosting. Nobody is going to tell you that you aren't using the terms and conditions and shut you down. So that's why the website is really important. The blog is the same. It usually lives on your website for various reasons. And that is about being a resource, especially if you're service-based and you have a resource and you're educating and that's part of your entire content strategy. Writing a blog enables your individuals or your organization to publish that written content. Typically, it is in that conversation style, but there's so many different styles. And where we have it highlighted here, regularly posting blogs of valuable, relevant content helps you as an organization develop your thought leadership within the industry. That attracts and retains targeted audiences and enhances your online visibility. And what we mean by enhancing online visibility, people and Google and all the search engines quite often will, when people put in search, is like they have questions. So blogs can often answer questions. So that's why it's really important. There's a chance to do keywords, it's structured, you're showing that you're a resource for your visitors more than just trying to sell, and it helps push people through the marketing funnel down to conversion. It also saves time. I know I don't have that down here. But when a customer asks you a question, or it's repeatedly, it's like, oh, everyone's continuously asking me and I have to write it down, put it on a blog. Just send them a link. Now we've just saved time. They think it's a great resource. You can start to track those pages to see who's reading what. You can start to track how far down they read to when you get into some more extensive analytics. So blogging is a valuable, it's content, but it's also a channel because it sits on your website. And know that it is more than just articles, right? So blogging has turned from just so this conversational, hey, let's talk about content, to a style that sits on your website. And what that is, by using a blogging platform, you have templates available usually on your website, depending which one it is, but almost all of them have a blogging style. And so that's a template that you can use for blogging. What that does is it has categories and tags. You can start to do buckets when you do your pillars. You can schedule posts out. You can create drafts. It's really it's a really powerful platform to use it. And I have used it for more than just articles that are resourceful as far as knowledge-based. It also can be used for case studies to promote them, projects, FAQs. You can actually organize it in FAQs. Actually working on one now, because what happens with the blogging platform is you've got individual blogs, but then you have an overview overview page, and they'll all start to show them. So listing your FAQs, smaller ones in an accordion style, and then having bigger content as FAQ articles can be powerful. And typically, most platforms will allow you to have multiple blogs on one website. So there's so much that can be done. And that's why I think through all the possibilities and go, is this going to make sense for my business? Can I start it and can I manage it? And how is that going to support my overall marketing? So that is blogging. Just to let you know, there's a steps to success. We always start with a plan, right? Have an outline. What are you going to write about? And then, of course, you have to promote it. There is, in the download, I have an ultimate guide to blogging. If you'd like, it's a free resource that's on my website. Feel free to download. So other channels that we sometimes forget about when we're constantly focused on digital, it's omni-channel, right? We have to think of everywhere. Digital is always first for various reasons, and we again want to drive it back to the website, but don't forget physical and print. So we have signage in stores, we have swag, we have billboards, we have flyers, we have printers, and even presentations, right? When we're putting it up, it's kind of digital, but it's more traditional. Make sure you do think about that and leverage that for your own channels, because no one's going to shut you down for that. You have full control when you put it up on a billboard, right? Like, even though they have restrictions on size and things like that, they're, if somebody complains about a billboard, it has to be at a whole nother level. So there is way more control on some of your print stuff. Email marketing, another popular one. Even though we go in and use third-party platforms, email marketing is fully ours, right? When somebody gives you consent to give them emails, you have consent to send them. You can send them information, whatever is branded, whatever you need to send them, and until they unsubscribe. And if you must follow, you must follow. You must follow Castle. And that means when they unsubscribe, they don't want it anymore and you don't send it to them. So the subscriber has full power on what they're going to receive. You have full power on what you can send to them. And we know it works. It's been around a long time. There are so many stats on why this works. 81% of B2B marketers say their most used form of content marketing is e-newsletters. 64% of small businesses use email marketing to reach customers. 4 billion daily email users. And this was a couple years ago, and I know it continues to grow. So do consider email marketing. If you want some resources, there's a bunch of links down here, and I have a whole series on our YouTube channel. So remember that your channels needs to be part of your overall content strategy. People have questions, you need to engage with them. You have channels, then you have content that has to go on those channels. So you have to think of it at the same time. The channel, what content am I going to put on it? Then your audience. Is it answering their questions? Is it inspiring them? Will it convert to business? Because every time we do this, we have to think through any one of our channels. So starting with our own, it is the center of everything, especially your website, and then we start to move out from there. So do a quick recap. Own channels provides full control of your marketing and brand management. That's why it's the center. Your website is the hub of all your marketing, online and offline, because they have one, it's a very busy space. There's one website domain that they have to remember, and that is really important to keeping it focused. Owned versus leased. Owned, full control. Leased is, yes, there's control, but there are terms and conditions you must follow. Potentially they can control over whether or not you maintain that platform and that profile. Consider your content marketing strategy when planning your channels. Always, always, always. And less is more. Be sure to select the channels that you can not only start, but you can also manage effectively. And that is your owned channel strategy.